welcome to the Most Excellent 80s Movie Podcast on the Most Excellent Podcast Network. It's the podcast where a filmmaker, a comedian, and a comic actor go on a cross-country adventure, metaphorically, in the Rube-Goldberg machine of the delights that are the 80s movies that we love. This is episode 18, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, a movie selection from 1985.
Warner Brothers is proud to present the story of a guy.
Good morning. I'm here.
And his bike.
James Bond kind of stuff.
Together for the first time in their first big movie.
I meant to do that.
I say we kill it.
I say we let it go.
Merry Christmas! Pee-wee Herman is Pee-wee Herman. Hello! In Pee-wee's Big Adventure,
Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
I'm Krissy Lenz, director of National Comedy Theater. With me, as always, is...
Nathan Blackwell, filmmaker.
And...
We've got a guest.
We've got a guest!
Ryan Gaumont, hello.
Hi, that's me.
Comic actor. Tell us what that means.
It
Can you
means
do some comic acting for us right now?
I try once in a while. I'm gonna comically act like I know what I'm doing. I don't know. It just feels like I don't like to call myself necessarily a comedian because I feel like there's certain qualities to that I don't necessarily apply myself to. And then I'm also mostly an actor, but I'm not just like an actor, I'm a pretty creative actor.
You don't walk around like holding a skull.
No, not like that either. But I'm not like although I do some like acting work, I'm just not like your typical like duh actor. I don't know. I don't know. I got opinions on actors. I'm one of them, but I don't know.
So Ryan and I have worked together in he was in the most recent Voyage Trekkers, the half-hour pilot.
I finally got in some Voyage Trekkers. It took me a long time.
And then we've also worked together professionally. He was the star of a commercial I did for Truly Nolan, and then we did some branded series. 2015.
Yeah.
With Chi-Chi's
Mexican food.
Yes.
Good stuff.
Yeah, but so the kind of stuff you do, so you do go out for commercials and things like that, but you also do sketch comedy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like to write a lot. I do a lot of the sketch comedy. I did Bully Mammoth for 10 years. That was my sketch comedy troupe.
Yeah, so Adam Reaney, who we had on the Breakfast Club, he was
the famously cheerful
yeah.
Adam Reaney.
Was he not cheerful then?
he was the pessimistic view on the Breakfast Club.
Okay.
He came up with kind of like an American Graffiti of how they all ended up in their futures, and it was dark.
Yeah.
Well, he's a deep man, and he's also the funniest guy I know. So, yeah, he was in Bully Mammoth, so
Yes.
I got to work a lot with him.
Good plug for Adam.
Great plug for Adam. Let's just keep talking about
we
Adam.
couldn't get for this.
Well, we're so pleased to have you. Tell
thank
us, what is your history and experience with Pee-wee's
So yeah,
Big
you picked
Adventure?
Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah, Pee-wee's Big Adventure is a classic movie. My entire family, we always loved it. I mean, I was born in '87, so I mean, I didn't see this. I want to say we had it recorded off a TV, on a tape, because I don't remember us having, the cover of it. But we might have had someone copied it for us. I don't know, but it wasn't a movie that we had the cover of, but we watched all the time endlessly.
Yeah.
We would do the dance with my cousins. It was just Pee-wee was a pretty big deal for us for a while. We just really liked it. I think my parents liked it too. It was one of those things where it was the kids like it, and my parents could stomach it because it was actually really funny, especially Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah.
Did you watch the Pee-wee's Playhouse?
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. I think that was more like cable stuff. We didn't really have cable. But yeah, I watched a little bit. But it was mostly Pee-wee's Big Adventure, the movie. And then Big Top Pee-wee. I think we had that one too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Pee-wee's Big Adventure was just, I mean, so many memorable lines.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
for sure.
I've been quoting it since I was a little kid. Like I said, we were doing the dance since who knows. Like I can remember as long. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, this is one of those ones that's just like written into my DNA. Like if I had to make a list of like the top 10 like comedy movies that have kind of like defined my quote voice or whatever, or just like that I love, or you know, when we've talked about this, like when you're a kid and you'll watch like a movie like 100 times, you're kind of like programming yourself. It's
Yes.
like you grab onto something. It's like, oh my god, I love this.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about like during with the Three Amigos, like that was definitely one of those as well. And this is for sure one of those ones for me. It's like just rewatching it. It's like it's always weird when there's like been a movie that you've seen like 100 times, but you haven't seen like in 10 years, and it just kind of all comes back to you, and it's like you remember every sound effect. You remember like every gag, but there's still kind of like a bit of discovery. It's like, holy crap, I forgot about the pet store. You know?
Oh yeah.
The pet store.
That's the great thing about the movie. It just goes left and right. I mean,
oh yeah, there's so many classic moments.
yeah,
But
it's amazing.
So Krissy, what's your past with Pee-wee?
It's very nearly identical. I definitely loved Pee-wee's Playhouse so much, and it definitely left its stamp on me in terms of like what kind of art I like, and you know, I sort of love Tim Burton and Danny Elfman quite a bit as well. So I think it was more the Tim Burton-y stuff and the Danny Elfman-y stuff than the Pee-wee stuff. Maybe.
Yeah. I get what
movie?
you feel.
Yeah. Like Beetlejuice, I wouldn't put it like on the top 10, but it was definitely one of those ones to where it's like, you know, and then I really honestly became more aware of them when like Batman came out.
Yeah.
And that was like a huge deal when, you know, like in the when was that? That was like
1989.
Yeah.
Oh
was that 89?
jeez.
Yep.
Yeah, I just remember it's like, so like before that, like, you know, it was Adam West Batman, you know, which I thought was cool too. But like when this dark version of Batman, which now seems like so goofy,
Yeah.
Right?
you know?
Compared to the even
it was
darker
like,
version.
This
now.
is amazing.
A realistic Batman.
Wow.
Yeah, and Tim Burton was just so cool back in the day.
Yeah, so this is his first feature. And he said this was the easiest movie for him to get. Like, they were never this easy. I don't remember the exact path, but
Vincent and Frankenweenie.
Yeah.
And...
So he had the shorts like Frankenweenie, which got him the opportunity, and I think Paul Rubens was the real like champion of having Tim Burton direct this. But
and for Danny Elfman too, he'd never like scored a movie. He had scored like a TV show.
right, so with
But he was just like Oingo Boingo.
Right.
I didn't realize
Which
this
no
was,
one remembers.
This was the first collaboration for a lot of them.
Yeah.
For a film, I didn't realize that.
Isn't it
Like,
cool?
they knocked it out of the park. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
Just nailed
Like,
it, 100%.
Oh yeah, you know, so like looking back on this, like as a filmmaker, like the thing I really like realize is that this is like almost like a comedy masterclass of just doing so much with which I'm sure with like so little of like so little budget.
Because it seems so DIY. Everything
Oh yeah.
seems
Like-
completely like we could go out right now and make a piece of adventure.
Yeah, but it seems like it's constantly like surprising you and doing like amazing things. Like, but it like wears the DIY aspect like completely on its sleeve. Like it's just amazing. Like I love when he's getting his bike for the first time. And there's a spotlight that's painted on the back wall behind the bike. And it's clearly that. Like, it's just like an inch behind the bike. And it's just like, it's just amazing.
And there's a lot of stuff like that where you can tell that they're like, let's just put some trees behind them so you can't tell
Or he's lost
that
in the
we're-
forest and his eyes are animated.
Yep.
And
Oh,
he's
yeah.
just hearing things. And then he finally puts on the spotlight sunglasses flashlight sunglasses, and then it like so clearly like a fake forest.
Yeah, just taxidermy.
Taxidermy.
Yeah. It's like, this movie is just so good at kind of like straight-faced absurdity. Like it doesn't like, like wink wink. Like there's like, I feel like there's a lot of movies nowadays that if there's anything a bit absurd or whatever, it's almost kind of winks to the audience. But this is like takes it so. I'm not even gonna say like seriously, but so straight. But like this, like a straight-faced absurdity. Like it doesn't make anything. It just keeps going and keeps going. Like that. We're it's like raining and he's lost his bike, and then there's like gang members like, "Hey, you're new around here." Hey,
He hisses at them.
yeah, it's like these punks hold him up, and he just hisses at them, and they all spread out. Like the punks were so serious, and he just does something so absurd, or.
But I think that's where, I think that sort of shaped a lot of my comedy, because that whole scene is just like a masterclass in heightening when he loses his bike, and then everybody's on a bike, and it just gets bigger and bigger. A little RC bike goes by. The wheels are spinning. There's an 18-person tandem bike that goes by. It's like they're just sitting there going, but what else? Okay, now we've got everything we can all think of. Now what else?
Exactly.
What did we not think
And
of
it's not
yet?
like he's combing through the city. He's just
sadly walking,
and they're all going by him. And, other than, like, getting all the bikes, it was probably a really easy thing. It was like a single shot, like a 2-minute shot, And, I mean, there's, like, 2 pages done in, like, an hour or two.
But you're absolutely right, because nobody's winking. Nobody is making that, like, Jim turns to the camera face. Of,
But
like,
I still feel like a lot of opportunities, like the fourth wall is broken, but not in the wink way, but in just more of a clever, I think, just over the top way.
It's almost kind of like this buy-in where it's like you and then the filmmakers know how cheesy.
This is a
moment
movie.
Is.
Like,
This
I
is
feel
a
like they're
movie,
aware
yeah.
it's a movie the whole time, but yeah, you're right. They don't wink at you. They don't really spoon feed you anything.
It's like when the car, like he's picked up by the
Mickey
criminal,
or whatever.
yeah, exactly. And then the car flies off the cliff, and they're like and it's just going and going and going, and then it's so obviously just like not falling at all, and it's just wind machines, and that's one of those moments to where it's like. Just buy into it. They're not going to die. It's just a cheap effect. It's like, just have fun with it,
And then the back of the car opens up like a canopy.
Yeah, it's a parachute. And then he drives off. Just leaves Pee-wee. But I like how dark the movie can get, too. Like, especially seeing it as a kid. I mean, it was so funny.
Yeah.
It was so cartoony, but it had everything. It had... scary nightmare sequences. It just had like kind of creepy, thrilling nightmare sequences. It had moments of like kind of romance, but nothing sexual. But just like Pee-wee, like them watching the sunrise in like the dinosaur. Just like it just kind of had everything of just a little bit of everything. Yeah,
the first romantic subplot with like Dottie. She's very much into him, and he's very much kind of like a kid, like girls. but then the next one,
the language they use too is she's like, "I like you," and he's like, "Yeah, I like you. I don't like you."
Right. But then the next romantic love interest, it's much more. It's like, oh, this is an adult.
Yeah, that's a grown woman.
That's a grown. I mean, they're all grown women.
They are.
But
They're all adults.
This is an adult playing an adult.
Right. Well, except but you always sort of wonder if Pee-wee is really an adult
or what.
Well, I mean, look at his neighbor.
Francis.
Yeah, Francis. I mean, he's taking a bath in his dad's house.
And his dad's in charge of him.
That's not an adult.
It's almost
kind of. So I mean, he's more of a kid than Pee-wee for sure.
Yeah.
But Pee-wee owns property,
He
so
does.
theoretically he has.
Pee-wee waters his lawn. Like he is a responsible man.
He has some sort of self-sustaining income.
Yeah, I wonder what that is. What is Pee-wee's job? He has a lot of stuff.
I saw an internet theory that he creates Rube-Goldberg machines.
Yeah, that's
Can
got to
we
be.
please talk about Rube-Goldberg machines? Because I'm sort of obsessed with Rube-Goldberg machines, and there are so many instances of it just across all of 80s movies.
Mm-hmm.
When did we lose our love for Rube-Goldberg machines?
Yeah,
Why did they go away?
Well, was it what is it? OK Go? I think they're still doing. They do.
But they're doing it for commercials.
Yeah, but it's not in like every beloved movie. Like Back to the Future has a ton of Rube-Goldberg machines.
Yeah.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah.
Pee-wee, obviously. Everybody cool in the 80s had a Rube-Goldberg machine that made their breakfast. And we have to assume...
Designed by Pee Wee Herman.
Yes!
Yeah.
He was making them and selling them. It was a Herman original. A P.W. Herman.
And he didn't even eat the breakfast. He wastes the whole...
They never ate the breakfast! Yes.
So good.
He just eats a little bit
2
of the
bites.
Mr. T cereal. That's it.
And what do I have to give for just an after-credits scene where somebody is resetting up the breakfast Rube-Goldberg machine? They're like retying the
neighbor,
string.
Yeah.
They're like cranking the thing again to make the big boot go back up into the ceiling. Somebody's got to bring back.
He could have a second Rube Goldberg machine that
Sets up the
resets
first
that,
one.
Rube Goldberg machine.
But then what sets up the other?
Well, that one he's got to do
Goldberg
manually.
machine?
That's a chicken and egg question.
Spec.
What
does
created?
that.
Yeah.
I feel like Speck would be capable of that.
Yeah.
Like if it was something where he just
He
had to
had-
like
he had a
grab something and pull it.
Detailed phone conversation with Pee Wee.
He did.
Yeah.
He had a deep inner life.
Yeah, I mean that it's like that conversation that the dog has with Pee Wee is like classic of the kind of humor that this movie has, where it's like, okay, he's talking to a dog, he's really happy to talk to the dog is obviously complaining, and then Pee Wee is like, I want to hang up. All right, goodbye.
What a needy dog.
Yeah, there's so many classic moments.
So many, and you were right, because the rediscovery of watching it again, which I have watched this movie in recent history because my kids like it, but I have never sat down and looked at it.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's just
had
been
to-
in the house.
It's just
Yeah.
it's on, it's around, and I don't feel like I have to point my face at it because I know what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really nice to just sit down and really focus on it, because you notice those little moments, like when he first goes to the police station, and the woman says, "What makes you think the Soviets are involved?" You forget that moment. You remember, the big stuff, but there are just so many little jokes that are
sitting through the whole Alamo tour. You know?
Yeah.
There are thousands of uses for corn, all of which I shall now discuss.
I mean, the Alamo's never the same. That's how I've always Pee Wee has always been the Alamo for me. I mean,
yes.
I only knew the Alamo from Pee Wee.
And I went to the Alamo and was greatly underwhelmed that there wasn't a Pee Wee exhibit.
Yeah, there should be. Pee Wee put that place on the map.
And also just the visual gag too of when Francis is sitting in the chair and there's giant elephant tusks. And there's a lot of taxidermy in this movie too.
Yeah.
And
It's the same taxidermy
Stuff
over and
right.
over again.
What happened? I mean, all the 80s movies had taxidermy. Why aren't there any good taxidermy in movies anymore?
Rube Goldberg machines. This is Nathan, you got to bring these things back.
Okay.
Thank you. Everybody heard you. Just agree to that.
Accepted.
And then also the line, and I forget when it happens, but he's I think it's when he's having it's not a press conference. What would you call it?
Oh, when he's sitting everyone down and going over his conspiracy.
His
Oh, yeah, in his
evidence?
basement.
Okay.
Yeah, he's kind of breaking.
Here's
That's one of
something
those
else.
scenes that I had forgotten about.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and so he also has a scale model. That's something else that's in almost every 80s movie that I
Is there
love.
something you want to share with us, amazing Larry?
Oh, dude, I love that. The picture of him sad without the bike. I want that frame picture.
I'm
of
sure
him
we can make
sad.
that happen.
I want it so bad.
But he's describing his sadness, and he's like, it's like somebody's unraveling a giant cable knit sweater, but at the other end, someone just keeps knitting and knitting and knitting and knitting and knitting and knitting. It just goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
And I think that's, as a comedy teacher, that's what the lesson you want to point to and be like, yeah, sure, comedy comes in threes. but real comedy comes in 9s and then 12s.
Yeah.
And then 15s. You gotta just keep going.
Oh man, so Large Marge freaked me out.
I
when was a
couldn't
kid.
look. I'm still scared.
Yeah,
of Large Marge.
and it's not just us. I think it has with a lot of people. And like this whole scene of like him meeting her or telling her story, doing the freak out, being dropped off. Mm-hmm. It's like 90 seconds.
Yeah.
It's so short.
But I love the way that everybody who tells the story tells it exactly the same way in exactly the same tone. Mm-hmm. There's a comedy lesson there too.
Yeah.
But did you guys ever notice? I don't know if you also love the movie UHF.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you know at the end when the science guy reveals that he's an alien and goes up to his home planet.
Yes.
It's the same face as Large Marge when she's terrifying.
Really?
Oh, I gotta check that out.
I'll put it on the blog when the episode comes out, like those two images side by side. It's the same thing. When we did a podcast on Educating Geeks about UHF, I was like, it's Large Marge.
Oh, wow.
So now I'm doing the opposite. But it terrified me.
Oh, yeah.
So scary.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was one of those ones that it's always great when you've got this broad range of experiences, when it's not just jokes. There's also emotion, but there's also fears or gross out or whatever.
I feel like that's where it's a kids movie. Is that we're going through these basic,
Yeah.
like, all right, you're scared. You're like, there's a lot of dreams. You know, I just feel like
the dreams. The
like-
clown dream.
Oh yeah,
Ugh.
and like it's not like, honestly the clowns
Yeah.
aren't even scary until the surgeon who's not in clown makeup pulls down his face mask and he has like a clown mouth.
Yeah.
Like
And then
that's
you're-
where I lose it. That's where it's scary. Like the other clowns are nothing compared to that guy.
Yeah.
I disagree. Those clowns are terrifying. But there's so many dream sequences. Like there's at least 3.
Yeah, there's a T-Rex eating the bike.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's
There's the very first one where he's winning the
where
Tour
he's-
de France.
Yeah.
There's the scary clowns, and there may be more.
Yeah, it's interesting about the first dream sequence is that it's not a nightmare. Like
Mm-hmm.
almost all movies that start with dream sequences are some sort of representation of their nightmare,
Mm-hmm.
and that does not happen in this movie.
Well,
Like, his nightmares are later, but it's kind of like showing his fantasy world.
Well,
you
he
know?
starts out at peace. He has everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has the perfect morning routine.
Yeah.
Everything's
He doesn't
right
like
on
girls.
cue. Everything right on cue.
Yep.
He likes his neighbors. He just
He goes to the magic shop, which is another great scene. Just going through all, and
And-
I love how that like it's just kind of like, all right, when you introduce the gun, it's got to go off. Like here's all these things that like he's
Yeah.
gonna use like in his
Oh, yeah.
adventure. Like I love just how it just basically set everything up, and it's a magic
Yeah.
shop. That's where he got his supplies for like the movie.
Uh-huh. It's
the
like,
whole movie.
like the
Yeah.
old wizard giving him his
Yeah, exactly.
tools or whatever. It's
Exactly.
like the things that are going to pay off. So I realized something watching it. So when he's pulling out the endless line of chains, like so the version that so we now have it in Letterboxd. You know, like I rented it on or I saw it on Amazon, and it's in Letterboxd. But the version that I grew up on must have been like 4x3, the box thing.
Yeah.
And so for some reason the matting was different, like the framing was different. So in the version that I saw like 100 times over, I could actually see just a very sliver of underneath where he's pulling all the chains and the bike that you saw that they're actually it's a loop. It's a loop of him pulling the chains, and you saw them coming up into the bike.
Oh no.
You could see them underneath. You could see almost it's like the equivalent of like a boom mic coming in at the
Yeah,
top.
yeah.
Like they didn't want you to see that. And now it cuts it off like halfway through the bike, but you saw way more of the bike and you saw the chains coming underneath. And so as he's doing it, you're seeing them come underneath, and it's just one big loop that he's just turning and turning.
You got him, Nathan. You got him.
Mission accomplished.
You did it.
End podcast.
Yeah. We don't need to talk about this movie
Let's
anymore.
go
This
home.
movie sucks.
Let's
This movie's
go
got a blatant
home.
mistake.
Yeah, but I think that's something that's so fun about 80s movies too, is like, you get to go back and look at it as an adult and be like, oh, this is different now. Now I sort of get the innuendo that the boyfriend, what's the big boyfriend's name?
Oh,
Who chases Pee-wee across like 3 states?
Yeah,
The
the
giant
From
guy.
Cabazon, California to San Antonio.
or
Yeah.
Brutus.
Brutus, yeah.
A giant
Bruno.
guy.
Comically large man with a dinosaur bone.
Could barely run.
And yet pursues Pee-wee
He's got big strides. You know?
across
He can go
state
pretty
lines.
fast. Well, he was pursuing, what's her name? I mean, because
Simone?
Yeah. That's why he was at the bus stop. Because right when he's there, the teller's like, "Oh, you just missed it," because like he just missed her bus.
'Cause
So he's
she's
not there, but then he
taking
sees
a
Pee-wee.
Bus to France.
Yeah, and because he sees Pee-wee, because Pee-wee cannot blend into a crowd. So he sees Pee-wee, and it's off to the races again.
Yeah.
Literally.
And there's a rodeo sequence,
Yeah.
And then Pee-wee breaks a world record.
of course.
And one of the best lines is,
Oh, yeah.
what do you remember?
Do you remember anything?
I remember the Alamo.
Whee!
I just love that.
That's
And
so
then it's just
good.
like a hard cut. It's just like them cheering a hard cut out. I just love it.
Yeah, because
So
we were
good.
done with that
We're
part.
done with it. We're done. Move
that
on.
part was over.
And the
Punchline,
cowboys
button.
around him were just so real and so sincere. It made it even better.
Yeah.
I love movies where at the end all the people you meet along the way have somehow joined up to cheer you on. We were just talking about a recent movie that we did where I was like, I really thought all these people were going to come back. Maybe it was Last Starfighter or like, I don't know, something where it's like you want everybody to show up at the drive-in in the end and
Yeah.
just like,
Oh, yeah. That's the best.
Yeah.
It's closure for everything. And it's a beautiful way to wrap up the movie.
and you believe
it
that
shows
all
that
of
he
these
made all
people
these
are-
friends.
They're lifelong friends.
Right.
Hey, it was
Except
a
for
big
Large
adventure.
Marge.
You make a lot of friends when you go on
Along
a big
the way,
adventure.
when you have a bindle stick.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love that point where he's like setting out on his adventure, and the bike is on a truck behind him, and he doesn't
yeah.
see it, and then there's a fork in the road, and it goes the other way, and he goes the other way, and you know immediately like he's not going to find the bike for a long time. It's just all going to be about like this crazy quest.
Yeah.
And like a near misses
Yeah.
here and there. But I remember as a kid not getting the joke of why Mickey was in trouble for cutting off a mattress tag.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I was just like, oh wow, man,
Oh man.
like it
I
completely
can't
went
do
over
that
my
then.
head.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
Completely
Right.
went over my head.
That age zone, the age line to where I was like, oh my god, okay, so I'm never gonna do
Don't do
that.
that.
Do that. It's
They
serious.
take that real serious.
Right.
You got to be careful every day.
Oh. And I love Pee-wee in drag there. He nails it. That's the best. And then take a picture to last longer. Oh.
And the cop just being like, "Look at you, you adorable thing." Which 2018. That's
Right.
not
Yeah.
okay. You can't just.
I just want to ask the lady to step out of the car. Like, oh shit!
I just want to look at your full outfit.
Yeah,
Nope.
yeah. That's a great scene.
I love the Cabins on Dinosaurs too, which are also in Wizard, which is the movie we did last time, which we'll have actually done in the future. But
I sure had a lot of opinions on that episode.
have you been there? Have you guys been to those Cabins on Dinosaurs?
No.
Really?
Oh wait. So where is this?
It's on the way to LA. So if you're going to drive to LA, you drive past it when you're like, it's maybe an hour.
I think I think so. Like, but like way long time ago.
Yeah, I think I was a child.
Yeah,
the
for
only
sure.
time I went.
Have
so
you
I
ever
don't
stopped
remember.
and like gone in and
I
like
don't remember.
no?
I don't remember.
You should do that.
Yeah, I've always wanted to. But I think I was as a kid, but I just couldn't appreciate it.
I got jaded quickly.
Oh, jeez. Well, you can't sit inside the T-Rex's mouth and look out at the sunset. That's
That looks a
thing
little
that's-
Tim Burton.
It was
Yeah.
definitely Tim Burton-y.
Oh.
It's like the windiest place on planet Earth, and like you just go, oh, okay, paper mache dinosaurs. This is great. Were we going to Disneyland or no?
This is it. We're turning around. This is Disneyland.
There's the line where he tells Simone, like, "Let's talk about your big butt." Oh, so that's
Oh yeah.
So that's the innuendo, though, that the boyfriend is, Brutus, let's call him, is listening down at the bottom of the dinosaur, and he says, they say a few things that completely sail over the head of a child.
Yeah.
And even as an adult, you're like, is that meant to be a double
Right.
entendre? Or
It's
no?
almost like such a slight entendre that it's kind of like, okay, let's just buy into this.
Well, it's
Like,
completely innocent.
Everyone I know has a
Yes.
big butt.
Yeah.
You know,
Let's talk about your big butt.
Yeah.
and
And she
and then
says,
he's outside getting jealous, which no one would ever.
I don't ever remember picking up on that. That was something I discovered on this last watch. Like, I didn't remember him listening in. I just always thought he saw Pee-wee walking out with her and was like, whoa, what's going on? Like, I never remembered him listening in. And maybe those butt jokes really went over my head as well.
She also says, oh, Pee-wee, I've been waiting for someone to put it to me like that for so long. And then you see the boyfriend like react in kind of a big way.
Is that the dirtiest part of the movie?
It is, and I even wondered, like, am I some kind of terrible person that I'm like, oh, wait a minute, and it was completely not intended that way. So I'm asking you both: am I a terrible person?
No, well, I mean, you're supposed to think it's.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think that's the.
It's the cleanest dirty joke.
Yeah, exactly. It's the only way they could work it in, and they did it brilliantly, just like they worked in everything. That's what I like about the movie. It's like I watched it a little bit more of like in the sketch comedy kind of just mind, because that's where I'm at usually, and like you can just pick up scenes out of the movie, and it's just a situation that Pee-wee was thrown in. Like it doesn't necessarily have to do anything with finding his bike or his adventure. It's just, I mean. It's almost like a series of sketches.
And the kid.
Yeah.
The bratty kid and the nun.
Well, I love the end when he's on all the sound stages.
The end is so good. Like he's broken into Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Which always, just like in a cartoon, it's like this vision of a movie backlot.
Yeah, they're shooting like
I love it.
beach blanket bingo, and like
there's like a Japanese Godzilla movie going on. Like
there's always for some
things
reason
that they would never shoot at Warner Brothers at that day and age. Like
there's
50s
always
movies.
Like Tropicana girls.
Yeah.
With fruit on their heads and like big skirts.
The
like
one
when
with
was
the one
that
with
ever
the deep
in
voice.
a movie?
He asked for directions, and like the cowboy guy or whatever's like, oh, I don't know. And then the other, like the Tropicana lady's like, I think it's that one.
Which is like that's
a
a
type
joke somebody put.
Yeah,
in
but
there,
but that's like a classic. I feel like I've seen that joke before. Like
probably in a Bugs Bunny commercial where he was
I
on
feel
a
like
Warner Brothers
The
backlot.
Simpsons have probably done it too.
Yeah. And there's just all manner of they drive through.
Yeah,
a
like the
music
blue
video.
and pink elephants. You know.
Yeah.
And everybody and Santa Claus, and they all just start pursuing Pee-wee.
The boat that drives.
I love it.
I love it.
That was great. I like how Hollywood,
heightening.
like the kind of like the last like 30 minutes is. You know, he's on the sets and everything, and then it's the movie. They make the movie about him because the story is so incredible, and that's just the greatest way to end a movie about the making of the movie that we just saw. And then it's so not. I mean, I still to this day say like I don't need to watch it. I lived it.
I lived it.
Like that's like I live by that almost. Like it's a classic line, and I just love the end.
Yeah.
I'm a loner daddy. A rebel.
That's one I used to.
But I didn't realize, like, that's another thing I discovered, like, he hears it from the convict guy. Like, I forgot that he picks it up from him.
No, because he says it to her in the very beginning.
But the convict guy says it. Someone else, like, says it, though.
Yeah.
At some point in the movie.
Yeah, so he says it to Dottie in the bike store.
Oh, yeah, like at the
beginning.
beginning.
And then he hears him
when
saying
he's
it.
He's like, there are things you don't know about me.
Yeah.
There's things you don't want to know.
You shouldn't know.
Things you couldn't know about me.
And we all agree.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, there's a lot of honesty behind that line. There's a lot of truth in this movie, guys.
He's really putting it all out there. He told us.
He did.
He was right. But no, I didn't realize that someone else said it.
I think so. Right? I'm not crazy.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And then the convict says it, and then Pee-wee has kind of like looks at himself in the mirror. It's like, oh, maybe I should change my ways.
Yeah. Am I this guy too?
Yeah.
Am I this criminal?
Am I he?
Yeah.
A mattress cutter.
Oh yeah. I love when Pee-wee's hitchhiking. And at one point, he's like half like asleep, laying in the road.
Yeah.
That made me so nervous as a kid seeing that.
Yeah.
Like, Pee-wee, you're gonna get run over.
Yep. Well,
Just little stuff like that. Just like I don't know. I just love the movie.
Yeah,
It's just full of that. You can watch it 50 times. You can see. I mean, it's so dense with jokes, with comedy, visuals,
Twisted Sister music.
right?
great lines. You know, visual gags, great
yeah.
one-liners. You know,
I remember being so terrified of everyone laughing at him in the Alamo. There's no basement, and then they all laugh at him. Like just that being the most humiliation I can even think of. It's too much for me as a kid, you know? Oh, and like even the part where Madame Rose...
Oh, the fortune teller?
Madame Ruby, the fortune teller. So she's the one who tells him to go to the basement at the Alamo. And I think as a kid, like, I didn't get that she's... I get that she's looking out the window.
Yeah.
But
it's
as an
not
adult,
super...
I'm like, this is the first time she's ever had to look
Yeah.
out
Like, I feel like she's... like, if that's so, like, she's told a lot of people to go to the Alamo. Because, like, that was, like, painted on the wall, like, across the street.
And she also, like, Pee-wee clearly sees her take his wallet and look through the
But Pee-wee, he's soaked. He's in a tizzy.
and as a kid, I just completely bought in, and did not... I was just like, whoa, yeah, and then what else? Like, never, like, I never looked at it with cynical, jaded adult eyes.
For sure.
I also loved, I mean, we kind of go back to, you know, how, like, all the friends Pee-wee makes. I mean, anybody, even like the hobo on the train, like, becomes too friendly. He's got to leave, you know, like, people like Pee-wee too much, you know. I mean, we talk about the convict guy. It looked like Pee-wee annoyed him, and then at the end, you know, Pee-wee's giving him the file in the hot dog, you know, like, they're still connected. They're still tight, you know. I just love it.
And I think that's what's fun about Pee-wee is, like, without judgment, he's going to be there for you.
Yeah.
And, like, change your mind. Those bikers, you know, all want to kill him. And then he wins them over.
Let him go. Oh, that's another classic line.
No! And then the whole tequila sequence is just...
It's bizarre. It's kind of out of nowhere. And it really doesn't have a joke to it other than, like, I want to know, like, why'd they choose the song? Maybe I should have looked it up, but, like, why that song? Why that dance? Like, what combination? Because it feels like the whole movie stops for him to do this dance on a table. Like,
but if you recall, another thing we loved in the 80s, besides Rube-Goldberg machines and scale models, and what was the other thing I mentioned?
Taxidermy.
Taxidermy. We loved people in a bar doing a full musical number for no reason.
Yeah.
We loved it. We needed it. They were like, Top Gun did it. Let's do it better.
Simpler times.
Yeah.
Right? No, maybe not. Maybe that's what we need now. Nathan, I'm ordering a movie.
Okay.
I want it to have Rube Goldberg machines, taxidermy, scale models.
Hold on. Okay. Go on.
A singing in a bar dance routine scene. And Paul Rubens.
Okay.
He's getting a little old.
4 out of 5.
Okay. Very well. Awesome.
Yeah, so did you see the new Pee Wee Herman movie, the one that came out
that
a
on
year
Netflix?
ago?
I did watch it with my son, and I have no memory of it.
Well, that's the weird thing
Joe
about a lot of the
Manganiello
Netflix.
I remember
stuff.
having a
But, like,
positive...
I remember liking it, but I don't
Yeah.
remember much about it. And I remember also I didn't realize that they, like, digitally redid his face for it.
Yeah.
They did?
Oh yeah, I didn't realize that, and like I was like, wow,
De-aged him.
they duped me, which I always salute when I don't see it, like that means it's done well. I feel like if I can't, like, ooh, that's fake, like if it looked good, and then I found out reading after.
Yeah, they basically got digitally, like,
got rid of his wrinkles,
softened the wrinkles.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
So when they do that, this is going to be a very dumb question, I realize.
No.
Do they have to put green paint, like, on their...
No. So they what they do is that they're basically just blurring those sections of their face, and so they just have to track, you know,
Like rotoscoping almost?
Yeah, well, they use, like, tracking software to track. So they use. No,
he might have had some marks on his face, though.
Maybe.
He might have had some
Yeah,
dots
maybe.
and stuff.
Dots?
Yeah, he might have.
How humiliating would that be for them to be like, okay, we're going to have to do this to your face. Can I please put some dots on your real problem areas?
But he would have looked so, like, Pee-wee can't look old. Like, I understood why they did it. Like, because, like, Pee-wee is like a youthful character. Like, it just couldn't look old. And I also think maybe this Pee-wee movie was also made a little too much after the fact, but, you know, that's how things are sometimes. So, but I do need to watch it again. Yeah. But I want to see. But it is interesting about those Netflix movies how you kind of forget them because I feel like they're in this gray area between it's not a movie in theaters, so it doesn't have to hit like this certain mark. Yeah, but it's not a TV movie either.
It doesn't get
so it's
blitzed
like this
to you. And it's, and there's like when there's a movie in theaters, to a certain degree, it's kind of like the advertising is pushed so hard that you feel like, oh, this is important. You know?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Or you're so overwhelmingly aware of it. Like the
and other people talk
Summer
about
movies,
it as opposed to it just kind of appearing. And I'm sure it's probably different when you're a kid because you just like what you like and then you'll rewatch it, you know?
Well, and I think now, because I remember as a kid, you know, you see television commercials for the movies that you want to see, trailers over and over and over.
Yeah.
And these days, the kids don't watch TV that has commercials. So they don't even know movies exist sometimes.
Yeah.
Which is how I'm getting out of Hotel Transylvania 3.
Yes.
That's funny.
They don't even know about it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I didn't even know they made 2 other ones.
Oh, they did.
Is this the one that Adam Sandler does?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yikes, yeah.
Yeah, it is a yikes. Okay, so speaking of that, though, box office, the budget was, you want to guess?
8?
You think 8 million? Really?
10?
I was thinking more 10 to 15.
6.
Oh, 6? Oh, wow,
Okay.
wow.
Both overbid. And it grossed over 40 million.
Nice.
So it was a hit. And on Box Office Mojo, of all the movies of 1985, which, by the way, this is our third movie from 1985 that we've done in, like, short order.
What were the other ones?
Rambo and Rocky.
Oh,
both
yeah,
1985. So the top grossing movies of 1985 were number 1, Back to the Future, of course. But then right behind that is Rambo First Blood Part 2. Did I say that right? Did I get it all in the right
Yes.
order? Okay. And then Rocky 4.
Wow.
So, and then this came in number 19.
That's pretty good.
Wow. I mean, that was a big year.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like it did really well. So anything that we missed that you wanted to touch on?
No, I mean, every scene is so amazing.
Mr. T cereal.
Oh, yeah, Mr. T cereal. I love Mr. T cereal. I also love Pee-wee's part in the movie. Telephone call for Mr. Herman. Like I've been saying that my whole life.
So good.
I've been and then like as a kid, you know, I didn't really
Herman,
notice
Mr.
like him
Herman.
like being
Please
awkward
pick up.
and like looking in the camera. But as an adult, and especially being kind of in the industry, you just see how like he's breaking every single rule and like ruining every shot by looking at the camera, like moving into like frame. Like it's just brilliant.
So
Like
it keeps moving into the frame
and
and
that's
looking into the camera.
it's just really subtle, like physical comedy that was just like I don't know. Like
Yeah,
I don't think
yeah.
we give Pee-wee enough credit for just like I don't know. He's got beautiful little nuances, and
There's so
I mean,
many
that
good
scene
moments.
is just so great. And then his voice is different. You know, he doesn't have the Pee-wee voice. I just love it. It's just so great. Like it's so like that meant like they dubbed his voice, right, or something like that. Like his voice wasn't good enough. For,
Yeah.
But as a kid, you don't get that. You just think like that's the voice he chose for the movie.
That's
you know?
what happens in the movie. Your
Yeah.
voice gets real low.
Yeah.
I also love... Oh, but I did want to talk about... So the Danny Elfman music goes so perfectly with every single thing. Like, even down to him, like, knocking on the door.
Oh,
There's,
yeah,
like, the
yeah,
music is just right there with it and making it better and cooler.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you know... Modern Tim Burton, I think, leaves a lot to be desired. But
I agree.
classic Tim Burton...
I agree.
Paired with Danny Elfman is just, like, to me, magical. He's so loud. He's 3 rooms away from us right now.
We're trying to podcast here, guys.
Stop projecting so much. Shoot, there's
I'm
one
trying to podcast.
That part was good in
yeah.
the bar.
the whole movie. Damn it, it's good.
Are there?
The
What would
fight
you?
in the bathtub.
Are there any weak moments?
I don't think so. Like it is just full. It's like perfect, just top to bottom, like you said. And then randomly he saves all the pets from the pet store,
And he's just like
And then-
really putting
and then-
off
and then-
saving the snakes.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
like,
Even that, even in that
give me a
conflict, there's a
effing
mini
break.
conflict of the snakes. You know.
Yeah.
I
And, like-
remember that and being scared of that.
Yeah.
And that part just immediately makes me feel 10 years old. Just
Yeah.
immediately I remember feeling the stress of Pee-wee in that moment. Being the only person around when a pet shop is on fire. Where is
Where are the
everybody?
employees?
And the pet shop has a monkey. As well. Like what pet shop has like an orangutan or whatever? it is?
And
Right.
1 million ducks.
Yeah.
A whole gaggle of geese.
Yeah.
It's got every pet.
A pink dog.
Well, there's plenty of there's
Yeah, the pink.
a couple pink dogs in it.
I like a pink dog. Okay, so on a scale of 1 bike to 10 bikes, where would you rate Pee-wee's Big Adventure?
I think the highest I've ever given anything is a 9? Question mark?
What did you give a 9 to? Do you remember?
I don't know.
Wasn't that good, I guess.
But I feel like I honestly don't feel like there's any weak links in this other than I don't know. I think I have to give it a 10.
Is it a 10?
I was singing a 10 biker.
A 10?
For sure.
Yeah.
Knock all 10 down.
Yeah.
All of them. Oh, and then he runs through the sign. Oh, it's so funny. Like,
Yeah.
what an end to that sequence.
Yep.
They slap him on the bike, and then he runs through the sign, and he's hurt. and then there's like a convoy, like he's the president of like all the bikers. Like just like little shit like
It's
that. It's
so
funny.
imaginative. It's just firing on all cylinders,
Yeah.
and it really hasn't
It's
diminished.
full. It's a full
Yes.
movie. It is
Yeah.
full.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
So what would your deep cut recommendation?
Well, what do you give it?
Oh,
Yeah.
I was agreeing with you. I give it 10.
Wow.
10
So
bikes out of
across the
10.
We
board.
got triple tens.
Yeah, and
turkey.
I've forgotten what magic
No
there
movie has
is.
gotten 30 bikes.
30 bikes out of 30 possible bikes.
And I love Phil Hartman's only line.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
when did you become blood brothers or whatever? It's like, oh my god.
Yeah, who co-wrote the
Yeah, he
script?
co-wrote it. Well, they were writing partners for the longest time, which
Because he's on Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yeah,
and in
yeah.
like in the Pee-wee...
who's he played? The captain
specials.
or whatever.
Yeah, who's in love with Miss Yvonne.
Yeah.
Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Lawrence.
Yeah,
Larry.
yeah.
Right? Like,
Larry
Yeah,
Fish.
the mailman.
Yeah,
it's not a big deal.
Right.
it is. It's a huge deal.
Everything's a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
Okay, so deep cut recommendation. I have at least 3.
Uh-oh.
So,
Okay.
And I want to say them all, so...
So, for mine, I think the closest that this movie, as a comparison that I can think of in terms of like an amazing, like a road trip, like this deadpan or like absurdist comedy, and like so many classic moments, like, and maybe not as bulletproof as as Pee-wee's Big Adventure, but like super classic and super influential on me is Blues Brothers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I would say if you're kind of looking, if you really dug Pee-wee's Big Adventure and like the whole road trip and all these great little moments, and you haven't seen the Blues Brothers or it's been a while, then that's that's a similar kind of adventure road story with a lot of great moments and comedy.
I've never seen it.
All right, well,
I love.
sorry, Nathan.
I love a series
I
of
enjoy being
movies that can have. I love a series of movies that can have a version with the number 2000 in it. And so, Blues Brothers 2000 is a masterpiece.
yeah.
Which is
It's
just...
a great one. You saw that one, right?
I did not see
Oh,
that.
you
I
haven't
listened
seen
to How Did This
2000?
Get Made and their review of it, and I
Yeah.
feel
Oh,
like I
that'd be
don't
interesting.
need to see it.
Yeah, I saw it once in
terrible
the
movie.
theater, and then I drank a bottle of Drano,
Yeah.
and then I died.
Did you
And
keep
then
that?
I was happy.
Did you
Wait
keep
a minute.
that ticket stub?
Then that means the Nathan
I
Blackwell
probably
I've
did,
been
yeah. I
podcasting
probably do
with
have it.
is... Guys, I was setting you up for a large March joke, and you totally
I missed it.
missed it. I'll set you up again.
Okay.
Okay. Nathan died? Well, then that means the Nathan that I've been podcasting with all this time must have been
A ghost.
his ghost. No, it's just not going to work, is it?
It was the worst podcast I ever heard.
It was a night. Just like tonight.
With an improv troupe making a lot of noise next door.
Hey, that's what they're here to do.
They're teens.
They're paying the bills.
Yep. But okay.
Deep track. Well, you mentioned earlier about how Tim Burton these days isn't much to write home about. I think the last thing that I really appreciated of his was probably Big Fish, and that was like 2003, 2004.
Yeah.
Ages ago, centuries ago. But I think one of Tim Burton's other movies that I think is just one of his best is Ed Wood.
Oh yeah, so good.
And because I do like I said earlier, I like how Pee-wee ended with this Hollywood kind of feel to it, and almost like Blazing Saddles, where like at the end they're like, "Hey Hollywood, here's some kind of mirror we're holding up,"
Right,
and maybe Pee-wee holds up kind of a crazy mirror to it, but I really like Tim Burton when he takes on like that Hollywood feel, And Ed Wood has a lot of that filmmaking kind of fake Hollywood. Like, he's trying to make it be Hollywood. He's acting like he's Hollywood.
It's kind of like
not.
the love of Hollywood from someone who's never made a movie.
Yeah, the real outsider's perspective. So, and I love that it's in black and white. I love a good black and white movie. And I'm not a Johnny Depp fan really at all. Like, he's the same way with me. It's like, well, he hasn't really done anything worth a damn for me for a long time. But he's incredible in this.
Yeah.
But he was great.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Yeah, he had a lot. He had a really good. He had a really good run.
In the day.
Had a really good run.
Yeah, and it's just like at some point you want to be like, you need to like either rediscover what brought you here in the first place or something.
Yeah.
Because now that you're just like steeped in money, the fun is gone.
Yeah.
Like I don't think Tim Burton has done a practical effect in his last 102 movies.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, that's good too.
Yeah.
Good recommendation.
It was great. And it has some, it's still pretty relevant, you know? I mean, he's a cross-dresser, and there's just some relevant stuff in there.
Yeah. I love that movie.
He's tackling some issues that people weren't talking about, being very brave, and then making shitty movies. But, yeah, that's my deep cut recommendation.
Nice. Love it.
I like it. Okay, so I have 3.
Okay.
The first one is the music of Danny Elfman. Specifically the music he has made for film and television, which you can get on at least, I think there's just 1 2-disc set. Danny Elfman, music for dark and theater. There might be 2. There might be volume 1 and 2. Because there's not just Pee-wee's Big Adventure, it's also Beetlejuice and Edward Scissorhands and Batman and just all of the
Simpsons.
Really cool. Simpsons, yes. The million wonderful things that you forget that he did. And it's all fun music that's fun to listen to and also sort of moody and cool, so definitely get that. Second, Rube-Goldberg machines.
Here we go again.
So there's a line of toys that are available at Target, and they're basically like Rube-Goldberg machines for kids. It's kind of like the game Mousetrap without a dumb game that you don't ever really play around it. And there's a million different sets you can get. I will post a link on our Facebook page. But it's super fun, and I don't think you need the excuse of having some kid to buy it for. Gentlemen, pick yourself up one. And then third, I want to recommend 30 Rock, because Paul Rubens guest stars in at least one episode as a completely ridiculous character. And it's worth watching the entire 6-season run just to see.
Because we forget which episode he was in. So just go ahead and...
I'm sure you can find out.
He plays a foreign prince who is like so inbred that he can't Will Forte is like his handler, and so Jenna is trying to get him to fall in love with her so that she can be a duchess or a princess or whatever it is. And I won't spoil what happens, but hilarity ensues. And it's wonderful.
That's great.
All right, so where can we find you, sir?
Well, I'm about town. I'm a man about... No, well, I
What's
can
your
tell you...
license plate?
I can tell you what my next show is, but I don't think this is going to be out in time for
I
that.
can tell you when it comes out. When
You can tell us where people can find out about your shows.
I will have another show. I have my kind of solo sketch comedy endeavor called Showmont, because my last name's Gaumont, Showmont. It works. It's a good name. I'm really proud of it. It's a good start to a show, just having a good, solid name like that.
I mean, that's really all you need.
Yeah. But it's not just me by myself. It's other people, friends, actors, some comedians. So, yeah, it's fun. I just mess around. I throw up weird stuff. Like, I only charge $5 because I don't want to challenge myself too hard. You know, I want it just to be, I want to be able to fail and, not worry about having something like polished, beautiful thing. It's like, oh, it's $5. Did you laugh a couple times? All right, then
it's really they're really. I went to the first show. They're really funny skits. They're written. They're not like black box amateur theater nights. You know, it's not just like come out with. It's like sometimes you get with that like crazy naked people and things like that.
Yeah, I don't get naked.
Yeah, they're really funny skits and characters and.
I do some videos too.
Yeah.
And is there someplace online where people can find you?
I'm on the Facebook, Showmont. That's about it. I don't have a website. Who needs a website anymore?
I mean,
It's
Adam
all about
Rainey's got a
Facebook.
website. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and what's he doing right now? Probably being hilarious. But, you know.
Nathan, where can people who are listening to this podcast for the first time find you?
Squishy Studios. You can find all the links to the films and things that we've done.
And the
you can
commercials I've been in.
you can also check out
Yeah.
Ryan and I. We did Santa Scandal, which is a 40-minute Christmas movie. Kind of like the length of an hour-long Christmas special with like the commercials taken out.
Yeah.
He plays Santa Claus.
And I wrote it.
Yeah, and but wait until the season. That's when you can make the most out of it.
Watch it whenever.
Christmas
we need the
in
clicks.
September, yeah.
We need the clicks, baby. Watch it whenever.
Right.
Christmas in July. It's July. Oh, I don't know if this won't be out in July.
It'll be August, but Christmas in August right now.
Christmas in August.
So only watch it in December or July.
No.
Very nice. Very good. And of course, you can find me at nctphoenix.com online and NCT Phoenix in the real world, which you can find out where it is at nctphoenix.com. You can find all our podcast stuff at mostexcellentpod.com or on Facebook. We have the Most Excellent Pod Facebook group and also the Most Excellent 80s Movie Podcast Facebook page. There are so many options of where to find things. Did we check and see if we got new reviews? I always mean to do that before, and then I never do.
So we will.
Do you have a Twitter? Do you have an Instagram? Do you have a Twitch? Do you have a
We have an Instagram.
Snapchat? I don't know Snapchat. That one makes me feel real old.
Yeah.
Have you ever downloaded Snapchat and
Yeah.
opened it?
Yeah.
I'm like, what? I don't know what to do.
I don't.
It's like the camera's already on you, and you're like, what? I don't know what I'm doing.
I'm not wearing anything.
I panicked.
What?
I panicked
No.
and I got rid of it. I deleted it.
Yeah.
I did too.
Instagram has kind of taken over. Like they can do what Snapchat did.
A little bit, yeah. Well, Snapchat doesn't stuff go away. I don't know. Let's not go into
Yeah,
that
no,
rabbit
that's
hole.
fine.
Look, I
That's a
don't
whole
understand.
different podcast. That's for
Old people figuring out technology.
old people trying to figure
Hey,
out this
I will
stuff.
produce that podcast. I
People
will.
realizing that they're old because they can't figure out technology.
Yeah.
That's a real sign when
Yeah.
you're like, I can no longer figure out how to make my phone do a thing.
Yep. Welcome to your 30s and 40s.
Yep.
I feel that way with video game systems. Not phones yet, but video game systems. No idea what I'm doing. Nope. Don't know.
Yeah, Minecraft.
Computers and phones.
I don't
I'm still
understand.
all right with.
Yeah.
Can't do microwaves. Can't figure those out.
That seems like a different problem.
Printers? No thanks. Printers, they got minds of their own, man.
Be sure to join us next time on the Most Excellent 80s Movie Podcast when we are watching Troop Beverly Hills from 1989. Like, rate, review, thumbs up, share, give us a review. We'll read it online. And I promise next time I'll look and see if there are any before we record. Thank you so much for listening. As always, when you're out there in the world, be sure to keep the Most Excellent 80s Movies Podcast motto in mind. Be excellent to each other and... Shoot, I can't remember the rest.
What can you remember?
I remember the Alamo.
Woohoo! Yeah!